Let's take up next method of preparation of colloidal solution, peptization. The dispersion of freshly precipitated material into colloidal solution by the action of an electrolyte having one ion in common with the precipitates in solution is termed as peptization. The electrolyte used is called peptizing agent. A few examples of salts obtained by peptizations are freshly prepared ferric hydroxide on treatment with small amount of ferric chloride solution forms a dark reddish brown colloidal solution. Here, ferric chloride acts as a peptizing agent. Next, we are taking chemical methods. The chemical method involves chemical reactions in a medium in which the dispersed phase is sparingly soluble or partially soluble. A condition of supersaturation is produced, but the actual precipitation is avoided. Some familiar reactions used are double decomposition reaction. First, arsenic sulfide salts. How do we prepare? A 1% solution of arsenous oxide is prepared in hot water. The solution is cooled, filtered, and is then gradually added to water saturated with hydrogen sulfide, while a stream of H2S is being passed through the solution. This is continued till an intense yellow colored colloidal solution is obtained. Excess of H2S is removed by bubbling hydrogen through the solution. The reaction taking place is arsenous oxide As2O3 plus 3H2S gives you arsenic sulfide plus 3 water. Now excess of sulfide ion get adsorbed on the arsenic sulfide sole and colloidal solution of arsenic sulfide, which is negatively charged, is obtained. Let's take up oxidation. Oxidation is another method by which colloidal solution can be prepared. A colloidal solution of sulfur is obtained by passing H2S gas into solution of sulfur dioxide. 2H2S plus SO2 gives you 2 water plus 3 sulfur. Sulfur sole can also be obtained when H2S is bubbled through an oxidizing agent like bromine water or nitric acid. Third method is reduction. Colloidal solution of metals like gold, silver, platinum, lead, etc. can also be obtained when their salt solution are treated with reducing agent. For example, gold chloride AuCl3 when reduced with SnCl2, SnCl2 is acting as reducing agent, we will get SnCl4 plus gold sole. 2 AuCl3 plus 3 SnCl2 gives you 3 SnCl4 plus 2 moles of gold in the form of colloidal solution. Properties of colloidal solution. Heterogeneous. Colloidal particles in a solution differ in size and are not homogeneously distributed throughout the solution. So they appear to be homogeneous, but actually they are heterogeneous. Visibility. Colloidal particles cannot be seen with naked eyes or with the help of ordinary microscope. It is well known fact that no particle is visible if its diameter is less than half the wavelength of the light used. They can be seen by powerful microscope, ultra microscope or electron microscope. The visible light has greater wavelength than the size of colloidal particles. Filtrability. Colloidal particles pass through an ordinary filter paper but do not pass through a parchment paper and other fine membranes or ultrafilter paper. Ultrafilter paper have special pore size through which colloidal particles cannot pass. Surface tension and viscosity. For lyophilic soles, surface tension and viscosity are not very different from those of the medium, as there is very slight interaction between the colloidal particles and the medium. On the other hand, lyophilic soles show a high degree of solvation of the particles, and therefore the properties of medium are modified. Thus, the viscosity is much higher for the sole than for the medium. Furthermore, the surface tension of the sole is lower than that of pure medium. Color. The color of hydrophobic soles depends upon the wavelength of light scattered by the dispersed particles. The wavelength of the scattered light again depends on the size and the nature of the particles. For example, the color of silver sole changes with the particle diameter in solution. If the particle diameter is 6 into 10 power minus 5 mm, color is orange yellow. If it is 9 into 10 power minus 5 mm, orange red. 13 into 10 power minus 5 mm, purple. And 15 into 10 power minus 5 mm is violet. Reason is the scattering of the light, different color is scattered by the different particles size. Colligative properties. These properties depend upon number of solute particles in the solution. In the case of colloidal solution, colloidal particles are the aggregates of many ions or smaller molecules, and when compared to true solutions or normal solutions, the total number of particles of solute in colloidal solutions are very less, and hence these solutions exhibit colligative properties to lesser extent. Optical properties. Soles exhibit Tyndall effect. When a beam of light is passed through a colloidal solution and viewed at a right angles, the path of light shows up a hazy beam of cone illuminated path by bluish light. This cone is called Tyndall cone. The scattering of light illuminates the path of beam in the colloidal solution and it is called Tyndall effect. This is the diagram to show the Tyndall effect. Beam of light is being passed through the colloidal solution and its path is becoming visible due to scattering of light by colloidal particles, and the particles get illuminated. Some example of Tyndall effect. Now why the color of sky is blue or seawater is blue in color? It is because they are colloidal solution and scatter blue light. Same way, visibility of tail of comets is also due to Tyndall effect. Twinkling of stars is also based on Tyndall effect. Kinetic properties. When a sole is examined with the help of ultra microscope, the suspended particles are seen as shining streaks of light. By following an individual particle, it is observed that the particle is in state of continuous random motion in zigzag direction. This continuous rapid zigzag motion of colloidal particles in dispersion medium is called Brownian movement or motion. It was first observed by British botanist Robert Brown. That's why it is called Brownian movement. The Brownian movement has been explained to be due to unbalanced bombardment of the particle by the molecules of dispersion medium among themselves and with the dispersed phase. Charge on colloidal particles. Colloidal particles always carry an electric charge. The mutual forces of repulsion between like charged particles or similarly charged particles prevent them from aggregating and settling under the action of gravity. This gives stability to the sole. A list of common soles with the type of charge on their particle is given. Positively charged colloids are chromium hydroxide, aluminium hydroxide, ferric hydroxide. They are due to adsorption of positively charged ions on their surface. Negatively charged, we have metallic sulfides like arsenic sulfide, antimony sulfide, cadmium sulfide due to adsorption of sulfide ions on their surface. Basic dyestuffs, example is methylene blue slole, is likely to be positively charged. Acid dyestuff, Congo red soles are negatively charged. Proteins in acidic medium are positively charged. Protein in basic mediums are negatively charged. Soles of starch, gum, gelatin, clay and charcoal are negatively charged colloid. Electrical double layer. The surface of a colloidal particle acquires a positive charge by selective adsorption of a layer of positively charged ions around it. This layer attracts counter ions from the medium, which forms a second layer of negative charge. The potential difference between the fixed layer and diffuse layer of the opposite charge is called electrokinetic potential or zeta potential. This is the diagram which shows mobile layer and fixed layer. Fixed layer is positively charged, mobile layer is negatively charged. And we have colloidal particles of aluminium hydroxide which is surrounded by positively charged, and then it is attracted towards negatively charged mobile layer which is negatively charged. So potential difference between fixed layer and mobile layer is called electrokinetic potential or zeta potential. Electrophoresis. If electric potential is applied across two platinum electrodes dipping in the colloidal solution, the colloidal particles move towards one or the other electrode due to the charge. Then the movement of sole particles under an applied electrical potential is called electrophoresis. Depending upon the direction of movement of particles towards cathode, electrophoresis can also be called cataphoresis. Electrophoresis provides an experimental proof to show the colloidal particles are charged particles. Next we are taking electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is the process in which colloidal particles move towards oppositely charged electrodes. Here in a U-shaped tube, we have taken colloidal particles with Persian medium and we are passing electric current. This side we have cathode, this side we have anode. And let us see what will happen when electric current is passed. The particles have moved towards anode. It means particles are negatively charged and they are attracted towards anode. They will get accumulated at anode. We can determine the charge with the help of electrophoresis. This process is called electrophoresis. Next, we are taking electroosmosis. The medium will move in opposite direction to the dispersed phase or dispersed particles under the influence of applied electrical potential. The movement of dispersion medium under the influence of applied potential through semi-permeable membrane is known as electroosmosis. Coagulation of colloidal solution. Coagulation or precipitation, we know that stability of a lyophobic sol is due to adsorption of positive or negatively charged ions by dispersed particles. The repulsive forces between the charged particles do not allow them to settle. If somehow the charge is removed, there is nothing to keep the particles apart from each other. In such cases, they aggregate or flocculate and settle down under the action of gravity. The flocculation and settling down of the discharged sol particles is called coagulation or flocculation or the precipitation, which can be brought about in four ways. Number one, by addition of electrolyte. Number two, by prolonged electrolysis. Number three, by mixing two oppositely charged sols. This leads to mutual coagulation. And D is by boiling. By addition of electrolytes. When an electrolyte is added in excess to a colloidal solution, then the electrolyte furnishes both the types of ions in the solution. The oppositely charged ions get adsorbed on the surface of the colloidal particles, which causes neutralization, and thereby the size and mass of colloidal particle increases and it becomes a suspension particle. Due to greater volume and greater mass, these suspension particles settle down, that is, they coagulate. The ion responsible for neutralization of charge on the particle is called coagulating ion or flocculating ion. Hardy-Schulze rule. These rules are for coagulation. It states the precipitating power or coagulating power of an ion on dispersed phase of oppositely charged increases with the valence of the ion. The higher the valency of the flocculating ion, the greater is its precipitating power. Thus, for the precipitation of arsenic sulfide sol, which is negatively charged, the precipitating power of aluminium ion is greater than barium ion, which is greater than sodium ion, because aluminium ion has 3 positive, barium ion has 2 positive, and sodium ion has 1 positive charge. Similarly, for precipitating ferric hydroxide sol, which is positively charged, the precipitating power of ferricyanide ion charge 3 is greatest, sulfate ion charge -2 is less, and chloride ion is least. The minimum concentration of an electrolyte in millimoles per liter required to cause precipitation of a sol in 2 hours is called flocculation value or coagulation value. The smaller the flocculating value or coagulation value, the higher will be coagulating power of the ion. During electrophoresis, the charged particles, sol particles, migrate towards the electrode of opposite sign. There they deposit their charge and then get coagulated. This is another method by which coagulation can take place, as the neutral particles can get aggregated and change to suspension particles. Coagulation of lyophilic sols. Lyophilic sols are stable due to charge and solvation of the colloidal particles. When these two factors are removed, a lyophilic sols can be coagulated. This can be done by adding electrolyte, by adding suitable solvent. It can be done by changing pH or changing the temperature. When solvents such as alcohol and acetone are added to hydrophilic sols, the dehydration of dispersed phase occur. Under these conditions, a small quantity of electrolyte can bring about coagulation. Protection of colloidal solution. The property of lyophilic sols to prevent the precipitation or coagulation of lyophobic sols is called protection. For example, this is the diagram where lyophilic sol is acting as protective colloid, and inside we have lyophobic sols, and outside we have protective colloid which must be lyophilic sols, and due to this the lyophobic soles does not get coagulated. The lyophilic sole used to protect a lyophobic soles from precipitation is referred to as protective colloid. Lyophilic soles form a thin layer around the lyophobic soles or around the ions furnished by electrolyte, and therefore the coagulation cannot take place as the size does not increase much. Gelatin, albumin, gum arabic, potato starch are some of the examples of protective colloid. Gelatin is used in ice cream. Albumin, white of the egg, is used in cake. Gum arabic is used in ink. Potato starch is used in making the cotton fibers stretched. The lyophilic colloids differ in their protecting power. The protective power is measured in terms of gold number. The number of milligrams of a hydrophilic colloid that will just prevent the precipitation of 10 ml of red gold sole on addition of 1 ml of 10% NaCl solution is known as gold number of that protector or protective colloid, which is a lyophilic colloid. On the onset of precipitation of the gold sole is indicated by the color change from the red to blue when the particle size just increases. The smaller the gold number of the protective lyophilic colloid, greater is its protection power. Gold number of some of the hydrophilic or lyophilic colloids, gelatin has 0.005 to 0.01. Egg albumin has 0.08 to 1. Gum arabic 0.1 to 0.15. Potato starch is highest 25. Protection capacity is inversely proportional to protection number or gold number. Gelatin and starch have maximum and minimum protective power.